I'm going to try and answer your question. I don't really know what math level you're at, so here's a couple of videos on my Facebook page that might be helpful to you. If you go to the videos link under playlists, and you might have to then hit the show more link in order to show all the playlists. But here's a playlist and a video, etc. that might be helpful to you as well. So I'm going to show you kind of two different ways to do it. One way I'm going to show you is kind of the fast way, but it often doesn't make sense to a lot of people. So I'm going to then go through an example of how to do it if that doesn't make sense. But here's what they've given to us, is they've given us two circles, and they've given us a line that go through the center of the circles because they labeled the circle 0 and the circle P, or O and P, and you label a circle based on its center point. We know that these lines go through the center point of the circle, and therefore they are the diameter of the circle. So if you don't know what diameter is, you need to watch under the geometry playlist, watch the circles part 1 video. So they've given us the two diameters of the circle, and then they've given us a relationship between those two diameters. So for example, they've said that the diameter of the bigger circle over the diameter of the smaller circle is 3. And so that really means that this diameter is 3 times bigger than the smaller diameter. And so we'll go through an example later, but just to see what this means. So if this is 6, then that is 3 times bigger than that. So hopefully in your head you can say that this would be 2, because the ratio of AB over CD, so 6 over 2 equals 3. So this is 3 times bigger than that line, 2 to 3. That's what that means. Again, we'll go through an example in a second here. So they're telling you that the diameters, the ratio of the diameters is 3. This diameter is 3 times bigger than this diameter. And then what they're asking you is, what is the ratio of the area of this circle to the area of that circle? So one thing you need to know is the relationship between diameter and radius. So radius is only half the diameter. If you don't know what radius is, watch that video. Because the area of a circle is pi r squared, where r is radius. So if the diameter of this circle is 3 times bigger than the diameter of this circle, then we can also tell that the radius of this circle would be 3 times bigger than the radius of this circle. So here we're using radius, but we can still use this relationship. If this whole line is 3 times bigger than this whole line, then half of this line is still going to be 3 times bigger than half of that line. So if it makes sense to you, and again, it depends on your math level, you can see that if the radius of the larger circle, so we'll just call it O, of circle O, is 3 times bigger than the radius of P, circle P. So the area, since we are squaring the radius in the area formula, so we have pi r squared, that's the formula. If it's 3 times bigger, when you square that, you're going to get 9. So if this makes sense to you, because we're squaring the radius in the area formula, we know that the area of the bigger circle to the smaller circle is going to be 9 times bigger. And so ratio, you can write as a fraction, or you can write as, a colon. So the answer is going to be that the area of this circle is going to be 9 times bigger than this one, or 9 to 1. is how you would write that answer. So that is actually the answer to the question. But sometimes people don't understand, can't see this relationship that the radius, if it's 3 times bigger, then when you square it, now it's going to be 9 times bigger. So I'm going to actually put numbers into the problem, and you'll see that we're going to get the same answer though. So a lot of times when I would get a question like this, I'd like to actually put numbers in, just so we can, instead of thinking theoretically, we can just do a problem and then find the answer. So I'm just going to randomly pick a number. And let's say that we're just going to say that CD, so the diameter of the smaller circle, is 6. Well, if this is going to be 3 times bigger, then we know that this is going to be 18, because 3 times 6 is 18. Now we can figure that out mathematically, so I'm going to do that here. So if you can't figure out how I went from 6 to 18, I'm going to show you using algebra. And if you don't know how to do algebra, please watch that video. So we have AB over, and I just picked a random number. Now when you do an example, do not pick a number between 1 and 5. I would always pick something 5 or larger, just because, especially the number 1 has special properties, and sometimes 2 gets things messed up too. So I just picked a number. I picked 6. And again, the only reason we're doing this is just so we can use concrete numbers instead of trying to think theoretically. So we have AB divided by 6, because I'm just using this formula, equals 3. So if you don't know how to solve for AB, you need to watch that video. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing it here. But we're going to multiply each side by 6. These cancel, and we get AB equals 3 times 6, which is 18. So that's how I got that 18. So if it doesn't make sense to you just to pick a number and say, okay, well this means it's 3 times larger, you can actually do the algebra and figure it out. So again, we're just using this as an example, okay? I just pulled that number out of my head. I wanted the number to be 5 or higher, and so I chose 6. So we're going to actually figure out in numerical terms what the ratio is by actually doing a problem. So here we have 6. We know AB then equals 18, because they told us that AB divided by CD equals 3. So 18 divided by 6 equals 3. So we know that these are correct numbers for the example that we're using. So now we're just going to figure out what's the area of this circle, what's the area of this circle, and then find the ratio, because that's what they're asking us for. So we're just going to find the area here, find the area there, and then do the ratios. So again, we want the radius, not the diameter. And what I've put up here is the diameter. So you should know that the radius is half of the diameter. Watch that video if you don't understand that. So now we have the radius of the circle is 9. The radius of the circle is 3. We're just going to find the area, figure out what the ratio is, and then that's what our answer will be. So the area of the bigger circle, pi r squared. And if you don't know how to find area of a circle, you need to watch that video. Pi, the radius is 9. 9 squared. 9 squared is 9 times 9, 81. So we normally write the number first when we have pi, so it's 81 pi. That is the area of the larger circle. The area of the smaller circle, same formula, is pi. The radius is 3. So that just happens to be 3. There's no relationship to that 3. It's just because I chose 6, the radius is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So 9 pi. So now to make this easier, we can leave it in terms of pi. So if that doesn't make sense, I'll do it after this. But if it does make sense to leave things in terms of pi, we can leave them like this. and we're just going to find the ratio of the area. Remember, ratio can be expressed as a fraction. So the area of the larger circle, is 81. We found it to be 81 pi over the area of the smaller circle, which is 9 pi. So we have 81 pi over 9 pi. And now we're just going to reduce that fraction. If you don't know how to reduce fractions, there's a playlist in fractions called Reducing Fractions, I think, that you can watch. So the pi's cancel. We have 81 over 9, and that will reduce to 9 over 1, which is what we figured out before. So here we've actually used numbers, found an example, but we got the same exact answer, which is what we should have gotten. So the ratio of the area of that circle to that circle is going to be 9 to 1. Let's say that this doesn't make sense to you, of leaving this in terms of pi. So we can actually multiply this out. So 81 pi, remember pi is just a number, 3.14. So we can get your calculator out and do the multiplication, and you would get 254, not dot 12, sorry, 254.34, decimal 34. 9 pi, 9 times 3.14 is 28.26. So now we actually have numbers. So again, we just put them, we want the ratio. This is the area of this circle. That's the area of this circle. And so to get the ratio, put them in a fractional form. And you just reduce them. 34. And then you just reduce them, and you're going to get 9 over 1, or 9 to 1. So no matter how you think about it, if you can do it from the beginning and just come up with this directly, or if you just, again, choose a number and then find the area, you can leave it in terms of pi, or actually multiply it out by pi, but you're always going to get the same answer. So it's just however you're most comfortable in doing this problem.